what's going on, everybody? It's your guy Realistic here, and I'm doing another tutorial for SoundOracle.net. And in this video, we're gonna go over exciting your master channel using distortion and saturation. And this one right here was the winner of the poll that we had on our YouTube channel last week. So if you're not already, be sure to subscribe. That way you can vote each week on the tutorials that you want to see. So we're gonna be talking about distorting your master channel and how to properly do this technique. So if you just want to get in and get out with the information real quick without hearing all the details, I'll show you that real quick. And so all I'm going to do here is I'm going to throw on some type of distortion. You can use stock plugins for this, and for the longest time I did use stock plugins until I could afford other plugins. So later in the video I'm going to get into some more advanced plugins, but for this part I'll just show you what I'm talking about. Just grab any type of distortion, grab your favorite distortion. Like I said, stock plugins are great. Every DAW is going to have this. Also, some other ones that are worth noting are like Decapitator, Soft Tube, the BX saturators. All of those are really good plugins to use for this. Later on, I'm going to get into something more advanced though. All right, so I'm going to hit play, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to increase it as we're listening to it so you can hear.
Passive. I'm talking that band like elastic. I'm tripping on life like it's acid. I told her her was classic. She's flying across the Atlantic with just a couple of bandits. I'm paying the club for the damage.
Okay, so you could hear instantly the changes that were made. When we added that distortion, our drums had more smack to them, the vocals had more energy to them, and the overall loudness increased. And we also had a little bit more sparkle on the top end. So all of this is just adding a lot more energy to it, and it's also a really good way to make your tracks seem louder than they really are. Now, the key to it is being subtle. You'll notice that I didn't get too crazy with it. I just brought it up by 0.2. And when you start to get too crazy with it, you'll start to get things where you're getting crackling, hissing. You're going to start to destroy the overall mix and lower the quality. And I'll show you what I'm talking about.
Passive. I'm talking that band like elastic. I'm tripping on life like it's acid. I told her her was classic. She's flying across.
So you can hear that that's just too much. You don't want to go too crazy with it. And 0.2, that doesn't seem like a lot. I mean, I'm barely moving the knob, but you can hear what a huge difference that made. Well, let me just show you again.
Passive. I'm talking that band like elastic. I'm tripping on life like it's acid. I told her her was classic. She's flying across the Atlantic.
That 0.2 just makes a instant change. All right, so that's how you do that technique. So if you want to hear more about how the whole details are worked, let's go through that right now. And I'm actually going to use a little bit more advanced of a plugin here, and I really like. There's two of them that I like. I like Ozone and I like Saturn. And the reason why I like Ozone and I like Saturn for this is because these let me do two things. They let me do multi-band saturation and mid-side saturation. So I'm going to start out here with Ozone, and then at the end I'll probably show you a couple little things with Saturn, just in case you're using Saturn and you know how to and you want to see how you can do stuff with that. So what I want to start out with here is we're going to go over Ozone 9, and why I suggest, if you can, use a saturator that allows you to do multiband and mid-side, is we'll be able to control the different frequency spectrums. We'll be able to control them differently with the amount of distortion, the type of distortion that we do, and the mix, the overall mix that we do. And we'll be able to do that for both mid and side. And so that's why I really recommend doing it with multiband and mid-side saturation. And another thing that I recommend is to put your mix at around 50%. You know, everybody has a different process, but over the years I found this is a really effective one for two reasons. One, it kind of gives you a little bit of a safety net for your masters, so you're not just distorting the entire thing and causing some issues. And also, two, it lets you get a little bit more aggressive here with the amount, because in a sense you're doing parallel distortion on your master channel when you do that. So I just set all my mixes to 50%, at least all the ones that I'm going to be using for this process. All right, and then let's focus on the bands that we want to do here. So in the low end, I'm going to focus on the sub frequencies. So I usually go 0 to about 100, somewhere around there. And that way we can control just the low end a little bit differently, and we can be a little bit more cautious about that area. And then we got this mid range here, and this is where we have a lot of the heart and emotion and the feel of the song. So, about 100 to 1K is usually that area. And then this next area that I like to do is 1K to 10K, and this is going to give us a lot of that presence and a lot of that tonal control right there. And then up top here, this is where we're going to get a lot of sparkle and clarity, so 10K and above. And so those are the ranges that I choose. So let's start right here with mid. If you're using Ozone and you don't know how to get there, you just go where the stereo drop down menu is, and then you're just going to go to mid right there, mid side. And now will allow you to control the mids and the sides differently. You'll be able to distort those separately, which is really cool. So let's go ahead and start with the low end. Now you could choose different types of distortion, and I recommend choosing the distortion to taste, and it might not be the same on every track. But let's go ahead and go through some. What I do recommend for the low end though is I recommend something that's a little bit more gentle and softer, like maybe an analog or a tape sound, instead of something that's more harsh, like a tube or something like a driving distortion. I might want to avoid that, especially for the low end, because we don't want to excite the low end too much where we start to get distortion and clipping and crackling down there. All right, so let's go ahead and check that out, and you'll be able to hear. What I'll do is I'll increase, and we'll start with analog.
Passive, I'm talking that band like elastic. I'm tripping on life like it's acid. I told her her was classic. She's flying across the Atlantic with just a couple of bandits. I'm paying the glove for the damage, thinking I might be a savage.
Okay, so you hear I went in and out there, and you could hear that there was definitely a little bit more smackdown in the kick drum, and a little bit more, power in the low end there. And I increased this one by 5. It might be different depending on what track that you are, so it's not always going to be the same. I've had tracks where, the low end is just pumping the entire time, so I got to be a little bit more subtle, like maybe 1 or so. And I've had ones where the low end is really not having it, so I increase it by 9. This one, the low end and the kick drum, it's mixed pretty good, so I got this just at 5, just to kind of help it out. Keep in mind we're at 50%, so it's not driving all the way through. Another thing too I want to point out that's really cool about this plugin is I can bypass the individual bands, or I can bypass it as a whole. So it's really nice to be able to bypass the individual bands as well to see what they're doing. All right, and then we're gonna flip over here to our mid range here. Again, I want to be a little bit more subtle in this area, and this is also an area where I generally don't want to increase too much, because this may be where the heart and the soul is, but this can also cause a lot of muddiness if we overdo it. So that's why I want to be cautious there.
Passive, I'm talking that band like elastic. I'm tripping on life like it's acid. I told her her was classic. She's flying across the Atlantic with just a couple of bandits. I'm paying the glove for the damage, thinking I might be a savage. I'm feeling.
So I went in and out there, and I don't know if you could tell, but there's just a little bit of a bump that just pushes things a little bit more forward, and we just have an overall better feel in that area. And again, I chose to be a little bit more subtle. I chose a little bit more subtle of a distortion. Now we're going to get into some areas where we can get a little bit more of an aggressive distortion. So we'll choose this tape area. Again, this is where some of that tonal and that presence is that I want to be able to bump up a little bit.
Passive, I'm talking that band like elastic. I'm tripping on life like it's acid. I told her her was classic. She's flying across the Atlantic with just a couple of bandits. I'm paying the glove for the damage, thinking I might be a savage. I'm feeling passive, I'm talking that.
So right there, when I increased that, you can hear that the vocal kind of pushed through a little bit more. Also, the clap had a little bit more impact to it. I had it originally driven up a little bit more, but I was noticing that there was a little bit of harsh resonance going on when I did that, so I backed off a little bit. So now let's move over here to our high frequency here, and then we'll switch to sides at the end here.
Passive, I'm talking that band like elastic. I'm tripping on life like it's acid. I told her her was classic. She's flying across the Atlantic with just a couple of bandits. I'm paying the glove for the damage, thinking I might be a savage.
So going in and out there, you can hear that things got a little bit more better with the sparkle and the clarity, and a lot of things that was going on was like the hi-hats had a little bit more energy to them. All right, now as far as where I'll really get aggressive is the sides here, because what I'm trying to do with these sides is I'm trying to make the excitement feel wider, and so that's what's really cool about being able to excite the sides separately. Now, I don't usually focus on these lower bands too much here. I usually just focus on our upper mid range and our high frequencies here when I'm focusing on the sides, because I'm really trying to excite a lot of that energy going on in the upper area so it appears wider. And again, I have some more aggressive distortions on this upper area, and especially since it's the sides, we can get a little bit more aggressive.
Passive, I'm talking that band like elastic. I'm tripping on life like it's acid. I told her was classic. She's flying across the Atlantic. We're just a couple of bandits. I'm paying the glove for the damage. Thinking I might be a savage.
All right, and then let's go ahead and increase the upper area. And this is a part too where it's really fun to go a little bit overboard.
Passive, I'm talking that band like elastic. I'm tripping on life like it's acid. I told her was classic. She's flying across the Atlantic. We're just a couple of bandits. I'm paying the glove for the damage.
So you can hear things got a little bit wider and a little bit more energy there. Let's go ahead too, and we'll flip to a different part of the song. That way we don't get burnt out on the same lyrics being over and over again. But let's go ahead and check out what our sides here sound like in and out, which is really cool. Is not only can we control the individual and the overall, but we can also control the bypass of the sides and the mids. It's pretty cool.
Dangerous. I'm on the run. Popping her whip, she know what my name is. She wanna get some. Life is a blessing, I shout out my angels. I find it, I come. Look at my neck, this shit is out dangerous. I'm on the run. Popping her whip, she know what my.
So just going in and out there, you can hear just on the sides that things did seem to get a little bit bigger and wider when we came in and out of the sides. So it's really cool. Let's go ahead and bypass the song, the exciter as a whole, so you can really hear what we just did there.
Dangerous. I'm on the run. Popping her whip, she know what my name is. She wanna get some. Life is a blessing, I shout out my angels. I find it, I come. Look at my neck, this shit is outrageous. It's all out of sun. Dangerous. I'm on the run. Popping her whip, she know what my name is. She wanna get some. Life is a blessing, I shout out my angels. I find it, I come. Look at my neck, this shit is outrageous.
So again, you can hear right there when we came in and out there, the kick drum got more of a smack to it. The clap had more of an impact. The vocals were pushed up a little bit more and had more energy. The overall wideness got bigger. The clarity and sparkle had more energy to it. The mid-range had a little bit more motion. And then just overall, the track got louder. So it's really a technique that I really recommend to do, especially if you could do this mid-range, this mid-side, and this multiband, because it lets you control things separately, gives you a lot more control. Now let me show you real quick, if you are using Saturn, I'll just show you kind of how to get there, because sometimes it's a little bit of a workaround. So you come up here and you can choose your bands up here, right? And so you just hit this plus sign, and then you can just move your bands over like this. You just grab the little areas here, and then you can move them. So it's really cool right there. And then as far as what you want to do by getting mid side, you just want to come down to channel mode, and then you want to flip this over to mid side. And now what you can do here is you see that we have our drive lets us choose between mid and side. So, you might want to do your low end here, mid, and then you might want to come up here and do some side action in these areas. The one thing that I do like about Ozone better than I do Saturn is you notice that I got to choose the bands if I want them to be mid or side, versus on Ozone, I can flip over and I can control the highs. I can control the mid and the side separately, but for this, it seems like I gotta choose if I want this high to be either mid, side, or stereo. So that's the one downfall. Maybe, I guess, a way that you could correct it is you could use 2 cases of Saturn if you wanted to do that, But that's, again, that's how you can activate the mid side here. And another thing too is I already had it set up, but I had switched the mix to be at about 50%, and you can switch them on each band what you want them to be. And then each band you can choose if you want it to be a different distortion. So down here might do a more of a gentle saturation, and up here we might do something a little bit more aggressive, like maybe a clean tape. We got this area that we're gonna do, this upper area where it's just sides. We might want to do something a little bit more like a smooth amp or something like that. And then we can control our drive a little bit here too, which is really nice to be able to control all of that separately. And again, this part, I'm gonna be between 20-30%, maybe 50% if I really need to push something like that. you know uh this mid area, we're probably going to do something a little bit more laid back and chill. So just again, keep that in mind for the different areas if you want it to be aggressive or not. This area might same thing. All right, so let's go ahead and give this a listen, bypass in and out.
Dangerous. I'm on the run. Popping a whip, she know what my name is. She wanna get some. Life is a blessing, I shout out my angels. I find it, I come. Look at my neck, this shit is outrageous.
So again, just a little bit more energy and power there. And then the last thing I'll just show you here is just some other options if you don't have the multi-band action going on here and you're just using some ones that are just right down the middle. Again, you want to stick between, 1 and 2. You don't want to go too crazy with it. So here's an option right here.
Dangerous. I'm on the run. Popping a whip, she know what my name is. She wanna get some. Life is a blessing, I shout out my angels. I find it, I come. Look at my neck, this shit is outrageous.
So just a little subtle change right there allows us to get more energy and stuff like that. So any type of plugin that you have that doesn't let you do multi-band or mid-side, just go to this drive knob and just turn it up by 1 or 2, and that should be more than fine. But yeah, that's some tricks right there when it comes to exciting your master channel. I think this will definitely help you get more power, smack, and just overall loudness, overall clarity and sparkle to it. And I think this is really a game changer for your masters if you're not already using it. Hey, thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe to our channel right here so you can catch the latest tutorials on mixing, mastering, and production. And you can check out some of our suggested videos here, here, and here. And of course, if you're looking for premium loops and samples, you can find that at SoundOracle.net. We got plenty to choose from.